Hello. My name is Jake Wiegand, and today, I thought instead of listening to podcasts while riding my bike through burgeoning subdivisions, I would prepare a relaxing video essay on one of my favorite comedians working today, Joe Pera.
Joe Pera is an interesting celebrity that requires more fame. I use the term celebrity lightly because he's not extremely well known, and various sources and journalists refer to his show on Adult Swim as a sleeper hit, meaning it's popular and well received, but only among a strong cult following, myself included. I'm a fan, that's why I made this video. But my biggest goal in making this video is to hopefully bring more attention to this comedian, since I think he deserves it, and I'd argue his work has something for almost everyone to enjoy, even if his comedy and style is a little jarring at first. Well, let's see who this Joe Pera person is. Joe Pera is often cited as a mystery in terms of his personal life. His IMDb states that he was born in Buffalo, New York, but sources aren't sure if he was born in 1989 or 1988. It's fairly common for celebrities to often make some of their life history public information, usually if they're super famous mega celebrities like, let's say, Jerry Seinfeld. They'll make their childhood, birth date, personal hobbies, and married life well known to the public, whether it's through various interviewing and first-hand anecdotes for press, or provided by paparazzi via embarrassing photos. Typically, the more famous and higher the net worth, the more information there is on that celebrity. But for the case of Adult Swim's offbeat comedian Joe Pera, a comedian that is still establishing himself, there's not a lot of information he's made public about himself, and personally, I kinda like it this way. As interesting as it would be to learn all about this strange guy, it's more fun sometimes to keep guessing on what his personal life is actually like. Given the limited amount of information on his personal life, I'll share what I can. He's probably 32 years old, maybe. He does have a wife that we know of. He studied film at Ithaca College, I guess. Graduated in 2010. Sounds about right. He won several stand-up comedy competitions there. Sure. And went to pursue comedy in New York City and now works under Chestnut Walnut Productions, a production company he started with Connor O'Malley and has made various works for Adult Swim, IFC, Super Deluxe, and much more. But what exactly does this nerdy-looking white man do? I mentioned stand-up, and yes, that is where his career really kicked off, but it's so much more than simply stand-up comedy. Pera has made various small appearances at the end of talk shows where he'll perform some quick sets showcasing his deadpan comedy. In just about every set that he's done that I know of, he puts a character on display, and it's a character he uses for all of his acts. The Grandpa. Or at least that's what I like to call it. This old man persona is what makes Pera stand out from the rest of comics, in that he'll often dress himself in a cozy sweater, talk about old man things like breakfast in small town diners, and speak with a trembling old man voice without ever breaking character. What's even more impressive is that I can never tell if he's truly nervous, as he remains super stiff on stage and constantly twiddles his fingers. I highly suggest checking out his comedy, since just me talking about it doesn't do it any justice, and you guys know that. The other major chunk of his work can be found on his Adult Swim series Pera Talks with You, written, produced, and obviously starring Joe Pera, which is arguably the most innocent and endearing show to ever grace the network. Joe's aforementioned old man persona really shines through here as he talks about various innocent topics such as how he likes to eat his breakfast at his small town Midwestern diner, what videos he likes to watch on the internet before going to bed, and reading off the church announcements before a sermon. It's all extremely chill, and personally, it's a show I like to turn to when I'm feeling a bit down. The show began as an animated short titled Joe Pera Talks You to Sleep, a therapeutic video made to help late-night insomniacs try to get some well-deserved Z's, but it also serves as a great showcase of Joe's extremely subdued comedic writing. The short was well received when it dropped in March of 2016, but was never made into an animated series. Instead, Joe returned 2 years later in May of 2018 in a live-action series consisting of 11 to 12-minute episodes where Joe just hangs out and shows viewers the daily activities of his old man persona. The series, which just got its second season this past year, also includes the likes of Joe Firestone and Connor O'Malley, who star in almost every episode, playing Joe's eventual girlfriend and obnoxious neighbor, respectively. Overall, it's a very low-stakes, wholesome series revolving around Joe enjoying the simple pleasures of his Yooper life. Yes, I said Yooper. That's what us Michiganders call the Upper Peninsula. Now, critics and journalists often cite the show as Adult Swim's sleeper hit, but not very many people know about it or are really raving about it in mass quantities, which is what compelled me to actually make this video. It's beautifully shot with crisp cinematography, the music is lilting, and Joe's meek yet collected voice is just so damn reassuring. With it being a more cult series, many people might find this program off-putting, and I have a few guesses as to why. 1. Joe's voice. Joe's soothing, almost too soothing voice can nearly border on the line of ASMR, and most people hate that. Trust me, I get it. I personally don't mind a good ASMR every now and then, but many people would find me strange for even saying that. 2. The plot lines. Most episodes involve simplistic dealings with everyday small-town life, which more urban viewers can either find interesting or just plain boring since nothing drastic ever happens in a good chunk of the episodes. 3. The humor. Personally, I love this laid-back approach that Joe brings to the comedic table. It's calming and sleep-inducing at times, turning most people away, but the jokes that he includes are delivered so well that it's just a style of comedy you have to be in the mood for, and it's a far cry from most mainstream comedy, I'd say. Here's an example of a Joe Pera joke.
Because in my opinion, falling asleep is one of the best feelings there is. Even better than harmonizing with your boys.
You kind of see what I'm getting at here, right? Number 4, the length. This is a drawback that I can actually get behind. Most Adult Swim series often run at around 11 to 12 minutes, and with this show following that block of airtime, it results in episodes feeling a bit too short for what the series is trying to go for. A good chunk of the episodes just abruptly end a little bit too soon in my opinion. And there could be so much more character interactions like with Connor O'Malley or Gene Kelly's characters, but maybe I'm just asking for too much here. But with all these apparent and or minor flaws, what do I love so much about this strange series? I've already said what I like so much about Pera's humor and style of writing, but what I like the most is that he's like a modern day Andy Kaufman, never breaking character, which is simply fascinating to watch. Sure, he's acting in the show, but beyond the show, it's astounding, seeing that there's so few clips of this man seen on camera while acting out of character. So Pera being the star of the show is great enough to watch for that reason alone. I also love the setting that they went with for the show. To be fair, the majority of these episodes were actually filmed in Milwaukee, but the fact that Joe wanted it to take place in Michigan's scenic Upper Peninsula is a treat for Michiganders like myself, and it also brings some well-deserved attention to an arguably interesting, albeit obscure location of the United States. With that obscure location, you get a lot of interesting storylines and just crazy happenings that most people don't really know about, I guess. Also, I adore pretty much every character on this show, from O'Malley's obnoxious antagonizing neighbor character that contrasts so much from Joe, Gene Kelly's soft-spoken yet honest best friend to Joe, and Joe Firestone's wildly eccentric yet firm love interest Joe comes to know throughout the series. Firestone's character is especially interesting since she exudes so much anxiety, but often appears as a stronger character than Joe for the majority of the show. And finally, just some other things that I love about the series are Joe's appreciation for breakfast foods, the fact that he and Firestone are junior high music educators, Gene Kelly's ability to act in line with Pera's writing style even though he's not an actor at all, and the direct address nature of the show where it feels like you're really hanging out with Joe as he literally talks to you. There's honestly just not a lot of shows like this on TV right now, making it such a breath of fresh air. So if that convinced you at all, or if you're just relatively interested in seeing more of what the show is all about, you can either watch it on cable, if people still do that, on the same channel that Cartoon Network airs on late at night, or you can even check it out on Adult Swim's website for full episodes, or simply check it out on Pera's website, which contains clips from the series and other projects he's worked on under the Chestnut Walnut Productions. I'll be sure to link those sites in the description for your ease of access below. Now, in terms of where his Adult Swim series is headed, it's hard to say since reception may not be overwhelmingly great, but I personally am rooting for a well-deserved third season where Pera could maybe venture to other Midwestern locations like he did in season 2 with Gene, but if we don't get another season, at least some more comedy. I just feel like Pera can keep running with this unique persona he's created and maybe write up enough material for a 50-minute or hour-long Netflix special, showcasing this different brand of comedy to a wider audience other than late-night talk shows. Until then, I hope Joe is doing alright, and I can't wait to see what else he has in store for us in the future. Given how young he is, for what we know, it's safe to say that he won't be going anywhere anytime soon, and I highly encourage you all to at least give his work a try and see if it works for you, because I'm genuinely interested on how other people view his work as opposed to how I view it in my lens. So that's all for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've actually heard of Joe Pera and what you think of his work. And if you are familiar with Joe Pera, I'll be sure to respond and keep the discussion going. Thank you to our patron Weston Kentucky, and thank you to our producer AJ Ford. You guys truly rock. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you all have some well-deserved fun today. See you guys.